Hello, and welcome to a presentation powered by the Center for Literacy and Learning. At the Center, we believe that everyone is empowered through literacy. We live this every day through our mission by advancing learning and literacy through evidence-based practices in the classroom, home, and community. Today, we will discuss Scarborough's rope in our presentation titled, Hang on Tight to the Rope, Scarborough's Rope. As we know, there are so many dimensions to reading. One of the best infographics to take a look at for this is Scarborough's reading rope. There are two main components on this infographic. The ropes also have many strands that are definable, measurable, and somewhat independent. All of these strands woven together are what become a skilled reader. So let's look at each component of the rope. Dr. Hollis Scarborough developed this rope in the early 1990s to provide a visual for parents to understand the skills needed to become a proficient reader. Scarborough's reading rope is made up of two main parts. Each main part of this rope is comprised of smaller ropes, which represent skills. The lower portion of the rope focuses on word recognition skills. Word recognition skills are the skills needed to read the words on a page. The word recognition portion of the rope is comprised of three smaller strands: phonological awareness, decoding, and sight recognition. Imagine that this is the on-ramp that is increasingly automatic to becoming a skilled reader. Word recognition. This is comprised of phonological awareness, which is awareness of all levels of the speech sound system, decoding, which is translating a word from print to speech by using sound symbol knowledge, and sight recognition, which is familiar words. These are not sight words or high-frequency words. Phonological awareness is the understanding that words are made up of sounds. A great visual to look at for this is Dr. Carol Tolman's hourglass figure. This illustration by Dr. Carol Tolman shows the continuum of phonological awareness skills and the orthographic skills that are necessary for students to become proficient readers. We will go into this in more detail in another video, but it is important to note that you do not have to master each skill in the phonological awareness progression before moving on to working into print and with orthography. This is why Dr. Tolman refers to it as a continuum of skills. Decoding, or translating a word from print to speech by using sound symbol knowledge, is when a child can translate that printed word to speech, which is known as reading. This is why it is so important for us to use decodable readers with our children, with decodable text for the sound symbol relationships being taught or mastered. Decoding aligns with how our brain learns to read. We identify the letter, say the corresponding sounds, and then blend those sounds together to say the whole word. But decoding is not the end goal in and of itself. It's a means to an end because we definitely don't want students sounding out every single word in a text for the rest of their lives. This is where sight recognition comes in. Sight recognition is obtained when a word is stored in long-term memory and the child can recall the word on sight. It is important to note that these are not just the sight word list or high-frequency words sent home, but rather a sight word is any word that can be recognized instantly. Students build their abilities to do this through effective decoding instruction and repeated practice sounding out words with learned phoneme grapheme correspondences in print. The upper portion of the rope focuses on language comprehension skills. Language comprehension skills are the skills needed to gain meaning from words. The language comprehension portion of the rope is comprised of 5 smaller strands: background knowledge, vocabulary, language structures, verbal reasoning, and literacy knowledge. Language comprehension involves all of these components. Again, background knowledge is pre-existing knowledge to help make inferences. Vocabulary is the breadth, precision, or links. Language structures include syntax and semantics. Verbal reasoning includes inferences and metaphors. And literacy knowledge is print concepts or genre. Background knowledge is the pre-existing knowledge a child has to make connections and draw inferences from. The graphic of the bridge is showing you that background knowledge is that bridge to reading comprehension. Dan Willingham said that we have to know something to learn something. Readers filter everything through the knowledge that they already have. So, background knowledge is a crucial component to becoming a skilled reader. Vocabulary is a student's knowledge of word meanings. It's important and aids in the comprehension of a text. There are two types of vocabulary. It can be expressive or it can be receptive. Receptive vocabulary consists of words you know the meaning of upon hearing those words. Expressive vocabulary are words you can express the meaning of because you use and own those words through your own language. These are the words you really use when you speak. Receptive vocabulary is typically larger because you gain them from listening and reading. A child must have both breadth and depth of vocabulary. The breadth of vocabulary is that surface understanding of a word, while the depth is that deeper understanding, such as synonyms of a word or the grammatical usage of that word. Language structures deal with syntax and semantics. In the English language, words must be ordered a certain way to form a meaningful sentence. This is known as syntax. Semantics deals with how words and phrases are combined to form meaning. Verbal reasoning is the ability to understand what you read or hear. It also deals with the meaning of text and includes inferences drawn and whether that text is literal or figurative. It includes drawing conclusions from limited information and developing an understanding of how new ideas connect to what you already know. Thinking back at what we have talked about so far, you can see how all of this ties into background knowledge. Lastly, we have literacy knowledge. Literacy knowledge is the understanding of print concepts and genres. A lot of times as educators, we look at genre and think we just need to be surface level when explaining it to a student. If it's fiction, nonfiction, literary, and really what we need to be doing is talking about the organized thinking of the text. When the students can anticipate what information will be in the text and its order, they will have an easier time interpreting the information. As educators, we want to become smarter than the curriculums that we are given to teach. And for anyone out there that is thinking that the science of reading is just about phonics, this is the perfect definition, the perfect infographic to explain that it's not. Phonics is one part of it, but we also have the language comprehension component to be a skilled reader, and we know that we need both parts, word recognition and language comprehension, intertwining together. Remember, word recognition is that on-ramp and must be solidified, and the language comprehension, the upper portion of the rope, is consistently growing even when you're an adult. It's increasingly strategic. Skilled reading is the fluent execution and coordination of word recognition and language comprehension. When the bottom portion of the rope becomes increasingly automatic, the top part of the rope can become increasingly strategic. These skills are interwoven and interdependent of one another. If one strand is weak, it impacts the rope as a whole. We have to know something to learn something. Readers filter everything through the knowledge they already have. Readers adjust or accommodate their schemas when they take in or assimilate new information, and it is much easier to build on an existing schema than to create one from scratch. Thank you for tuning in. The Center for Literacy and Learning can be followed on most social media platforms, or you can email us at pd@mycll.org or call the number on the screen. Check out our website for more information on our wraparound services and supports. Thank you for tuning in with us.